Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome to Healing with Hila. This is your space for aligning, expanding, and reconnecting with who you truly are. I'm your host, Hila Kedem Ferguson. I'm a transpersonal hypnotherapist, manifestation coach, and sound creator. Thank you so much for inviting me into your life. So today is going to be fun. I am so excited about today's episode. Last night, I was meditating and tuning in, trying to center, to ask Spirit, what should we do today? And really tuning into the purpose of why I'm doing this podcast, right? Underneath it all, I am here to offer whatever it is that divine knowledge wants to bring forward for humanity for our highest good, right? So, a couple episodes ago, overwhelm and the vibrational vacuum, it's exactly what I was talking about. I literally can feel that there's needs out there for the collective that when I'm allowing myself to offer my abilities, my channeling, my alignment, my gifts for the highest good, I'm able to tap into these vacuums. And spirit then kind of communicates to me and tells me what it is that would be most beneficial for me to create. And Healing with Hila, this podcast has been, I think, the key to all of it because there's no real monetization that's connected to it. This is truly a platform and an opportunity for me to teach and to be of service, which feels wonderful. And so when I was tuning in and asking, my guidance asked me to do an episode that is centered around channeling, moving a little into the process of explaining it and then sharing a little bit of my own personal journey through that, and also doing a mini channel for us at the end, just seeing if there's any other information that would like to come through to the collective for the end of the episode. And I think it's going to just be so much fun, especially for people that are not really certain about what this is or have a certain expectation to what this looks like or feels like. And I'm grateful to just offer some clarity for the collective as well, like I said, giving us some nice divine treats with anything else that wants to come through. I feel like this subject ties also so deeply to hypnotherapy and the misconception that is around it, especially for the general collective, because it's been misinterpreted by our culture through movies and books and fantasy world. Same as channeling, same as bringing in information from divine. And I love to have an opportunity to just kind of clean it up for us a little bit. I think that if we're not familiar with this world and we think about channeling, we think possession. We think spirit taking over, speaking through you, eyes rolling in the back of your head, connecting with something outworldly, very weird. And for hypnotherapy, taking over your mind, controlling, making you do things, using some words without your consent. And I think the common theme between the two pieces is the consent, is the free will, right? In both scenarios, there's something to being taken over and not really allowing consciousness to play a role. And in both scenarios, the reality is very different. In order to understand it, I think it would be really important for us to just talk a little bit about the different states of consciousness. It allows us to understand a little bit about how the brain works and the information that kind of comes through that's related to that, and really gives us an overview for both channeling and hypnotherapy. And we're going to build from that. We're going to talk about the main four states. We're going to talk about beta, alpha, theta, and delta. Beta is our aware, awake, totally conscious state. We are focused, we are doing our taxes, we are counting, we are doing math. Our left brain is super engaged. Our brain waves are moving in a more rapid speed, about 13 to 30 cycles per second, and our frequency, our brain, is at about 13 to 30 hertz. The next state is our alpha. Our alpha is when we start to slow down. Our alpha is that flow state. Our alpha is when we go down the freeway and we kind of don't understand, and all of a sudden we realize where our exit is. We do the dishes and our mind just wander. We are awake, but we are more engaged in our creative space. We are more engaged in our right brain, and our brain waves begin to slow down. So the repetition begins to move to 8 to 12 cycles per second. And the hertz is at around 8 to 12. And when it comes to hypnotherapy, as well as channeling, in alpha, we already begin to access the subconscious. We already are moving into a state that allows us to expand our reach with our little antenna. Our radio station begins to pick up more, and we are able to tune in either to our own inner memories, our own feelings, our own divine connection, as well as any kind of external guidance that might come through. And that's where channeling and hypnotherapy kind of coincide. In my type of hypnotherapy, you take your people into a space of connecting to their soul space, to their memories between lives, to their guidance and divine connection. So, in truth, what you're doing is that you're teaching them how to channel. You are literally taking them through the process of slowing down the brain waves and bringing you into a state where you are opening up. Your antenna is beginning to pick up more. When you channel, you do the same thing. And there's a popular saying that says all hypnosis is self hypnosis, which really is that. When you channel, you do it on your own. You move yourself into an alpha and theta state, which we'll talk about in a second, and begin to connect. And the super cool thing about it is that this is an accessible state that you go into every single day throughout your day without realizing that you're doing it. I gave you the freeway example, the dishes example, when you take a walk, when you walk your dogs, when you work out and do something that kind of takes you into that zone, when you breathe deeply, when you listen to calming music. There is so many moments and times in your day when you move into alpha naturally. And so the key is that anybody has the ability to channel. Anybody has the ability to move into a state of hypnosis and effectively work with that. And when you really understand what it is, the myth around what channeling really is or what hypnosis really is begins to fade, and you begin to really understand it better. Next level is theta. And again, it's a deeper state we are able to connect with throughout our awakening hours. However, this is more of that in between space. It is more of that deeper space of hypnosis, which again can be accessible through your awake hours. But it takes a little bit more mindful connecting because our brain waves are just slowing down. Once we reach alpha, we need to arrive into theta, allowing the brain waves to move now to 4 to 7 cycles per second and 4 to 7 hertz. When we take people into their in between state, oftentimes our goal is theta. We do want to reach that extra level of relaxation in order to really connect. And anybody that channels and experience connecting or meditating will tell you that the first few layers of communication feel a little lighter. And the more you move into the process of connecting, the deeper you go. It's just the natural progression of your brain and the energy. You begin to slow down and just move into a deeper state. And again, really anchoring for you guys, this is something we all do throughout the day. It's that extra level of zoning out. I remember going to the science center here in Arizona and playing this alpha theta helmet game where we would move a ball using our head and it would measure those levels. We were completely awake and aware doing it, controlling the ball. It's such a fun game, man. It's so cool to introduce kids to these concepts early through that. And so, really wanting you guys to connect and understand again, this is a natural process that we all go through as human beings. What makes it different in the state of channeling and hypnosis is the intention around it, that you are aware your intention is there in connecting and moving into those states and staying conscious through them and communicating what comes through. The next level is delta, and that's our restorative space. That is our sleep space. We are usually not aware for that or awake. This is where the cells repair. This is zero point 0.5 to 3 hertz and up to 3 cycles per second for your brain. Sometimes not even completing a full one in that second. And so now that we understand a little bit better what our brain does and how we all get to do this, we get to understand a little bit better this process of channeling. When somebody moves into a space of channeling, they literally move into a space of self hypnosis or meditation. They take their brain waves and slow them down to alpha and theta and begins to open up, begin to communicate as if they have a little radio station turning the dial and just connecting with whatever it is that their intention is here to connect with. I have been channeling my whole life. I didn't even know that's what it was called because it was always so natural to me, and my gift was never shut down. Later in life, I learned more about this world and realized what was going on. And it's been a gift to be able to teach others about it and really support others in connecting to their own ability to tune their dial into their divine guidance and get an answer back. When you receive the communication, it is a dialogue in your mind. Sometimes the dialogue comes with a voice imprint. You get a sense of the voice. Oftentimes in mediumships, I find that you hear the voice imprint because they're still so connected to who they were as the human. But not always. It really depends on your level of connecting and whatever your receptive ways are, whatever your clears are. Many people channel their own loved ones and don't realize that that's what's happening. They will literally feel and have a dialogue with them in their mind, perhaps after they've transitioned or passed away, and they think they're just making it up. But really, what's happening is that they allow themselves to slow down a little and they allow themselves to connect, and the dial has been set and the radio station is working, and their loved ones will come through and connect with them. I think where it gets a little confusing is in the way that people present it. Because you have two ways to present a channeling. You can have a dialogue in your mind and then translate it through your own words as just telling a story. Or you can allow whatever it is that's coming through you to come out of you in the same manner. So if you hear somebody speaking to you about a certain thing and you just narrate, it might sound as if they have taken over. Because of our basic right of free will, they cannot. You will always give consent, even if the story is that you haven't. You will always give consent. Sometimes the consent was from a soul space, but consent is always going to be had when it comes to that form of communication, because again, free will is always in action. Same goes for hypnotherapy. Oftentimes, we recommend our clients to speak about themselves in third party, to actually embody whatever it is that they're getting, because it allows them to immerse themselves in the experience and understand whatever they're experiencing a little bit better. It allows them to leave who they are as that consciousness and move into the guidance that is coming through for them. And I think for somebody from the outside, it might seem like possession. It might seem like something has taken over, where in turn, it really isn't. It's just an easier form of communication. And some people experience the dialogue in their mind and then just report to you about it. And it might seem a little different. The theatrics that surrounds channeling has to do with the physical human being that delivers the message. It has nothing to do really with the beings giving it. And I want you guys to remember that and understand that, and also connect to the teachings that feel right to you in all of that. And so I hope this really clears it up for you guys, especially, like I said, those that are not versed in what this world looks like, and understand that we all have the ability to do it ourselves. That's why I love spiritual regression and moving clients into their own abilities to connect and to channel for themselves and to really fully understand it. So, I mentioned a little bit about my journey. I've always kind of tuned in and connected to them. There was always a council of sorts. It always felt like a collective, not necessarily like a singular energy that surrounded me my whole life. And I remember always speaking to them and telling my parents about it. And it was always loving, it was always beautiful, and just my intuition. And I don't think that anybody thought too much about it. And I come from a very spiritual family. So I think that anything that had to do with connecting to the divine has been very wild accepted in my home, and therefore I was able to maintain it. And then later in life, learning more about what this connection really is. And it's been very interesting because throughout my connection with channeling divine, I have been able to understand those dynamics and relationships very clearly and the difference between them. What's my personal guide versus what's a loved one versus what somebody else's loved ones or clients or guides for them or counsel, whatever it is if I have a whole connection to human beings. I know their roles and who they are. Same with my non physicals. And it's been interesting because in the last few months, I've started to connect to a different group of non physical that came through. Funny enough, they came through after we went to an Abraham in-person convention. It was really nice, and I realized that the communication that I was receiving and the guidance that was coming through to me felt different. It felt actually a lot cleaner, as if it moved through a human filter. It felt a lot easier to connect with in a way, and I explored deeper into it. It again, I always tell my clients, and I'm going to tell you guys, how it feels matters. It matters more than anything. If it feels like guidance, loving, supporting, this is something to explore. If it feels anything other than that, shut it down. You have free will. You don't need to open yourself up to anything that doesn't feel positive. And obviously, there's help if you ever encounter something that doesn't feel good to you, that you need help processing. Oftentimes, there's a lesson, and it's a really beautiful one. And so, opening up to this new guidance, I have been channeling and connecting with a lot of information that they are saying is very valuable and important for humanity. And interestingly enough, they have been coming a lot on my podcast. So the pieces that have been coming through that I've been talking to you guys about in the last few months have kind of come from this new set of guidance. I'm still able to connect to my regular they, my normal kind of counsel, and checked also kind of with them about this dynamic and was told that this is perfect. This is absolutely great and really a soul agreement that I have. These are soul friends that are here to serve humanity and really support us. When I first connected with them, I really didn't know much. And one of the things I was told is to check out a little bit of Bashar and Daryl Anka because the energy and frequency might seem similar. And last night, I finally had a moment to read a little about it. And I guess that I understand why, because the collective that came through to me told me that they are incarnated in a body, they're not fully non physical. That's why they feel a little easier to tune in with and connect. And Bashar is similar. And it's true, I connected with that and read about it and saw that, yes, it's kind of similar. I don't have the story of the planet and origin and the physical part because we all have a non-physical that still operates in spirit. Anytime we incarnate into any type of physical body, does not matter what, we leave part of our energy behind. in spirit. And so, in a way, the energy and the information that was coming through was coming from that non physical part of a physical incarnated being, just like I am a physical incarnated being that still has a non physical part that operates in the spirit world. And we try to have a mindful connection because of our awareness of that non physical part. So, any of you that works with your soul self, higher self, that's what that is. When I tuned in about today's session and asked my guidance about it, they asked me to teach you guys about channeling, to speak to you about those levels and hypnosis and all those pieces, and to offer some guidance coming directly from me about anything that might be relevant for where we are and what's happening right now. So I will actually going to give the stage to this new team I've been speaking with. They call themselves Orion's Council. And again, I haven't really looked deep into any of those pieces except knowing that information that's been coming through has been beneficial and in line with my teachings. And it comes in a very clear and direct manner. And it's been good to pass it along. And I am willing to just open up and see what else they would like to share with us today on this platform and hopefully just bring some clarity. So I will just take a few deep breaths and move into a space of connection, moving into that state of alpha and slowing down. They've been part of my daily communication, so it's a space that's very easy for me to access and is very familiar for me and truly. Again, moving the dial is not very difficult if it's a energy that's familiar and that you've been working with. Just like connecting to a loved one. What do you want to say to her? We are really grateful to have a space to speak right now to the collective and to bring knowledge forward that would be beneficial for any soul that was attracted to this podcast and to this platform of listening. We want to first commend you for taking the time and connecting and allowing a space of alignment because without your personal alignment, you wouldn't be drawn to this episode and to this moment. You've been working really hard to maintain this alignment through this time and space, and there has been a lot of energies that have represented the opposite of what you want and desire, and therefore have been triggering you tremendously and tipping the side of the scale more towards the things that you do not wish to see, and therefore seeing more of those things that you do not wish to see. And we are here to offer a little bit of reprieve from that. We have offered a collective community guidance yesterday card that talks about how the best way to break through a cycle of relationships that no longer serves you is breaking through a cycle of thoughts that no longer serves you. And the best way to break through that cycle is by choosing thoughts to do. There is no other way to go at it. And so if you wish to tip the scale to the other way, if you wish to see the wrong being right, if you wish to see the world the way you want to see it, you got to tip the scale. You have to change the trajectory of your thinking. You cannot go about your day thinking in the direction of what you no longer want to see and expect to see the opposite. It does not work like that. The universe doesn't work like that. And you knew that coming here. We come to you as a collective that is highly invested into the well being of this planet. We would like to see you thrive. We would like to see you happy. We understand this is a place of contrast, and we don't expect it to always be heaven on earth. That is not the plan, nor was ever the plan for earth. But there is a balance that needs to be maintained. And just like there are the energies that pull the scales in the other direction, there are the energies that pull it into this. We offer a space to tip the scale for the better. And we appreciate this opportunity to speak to you guys through Hila, and the more you allow space to tune into those vacuums, the more you will find guidance coming through for you as well that will help you tip the scale and move you into the direction of what you want to see. And so, if there's something that we want you to take from this brief conversation about the state of the way that you are feeling, is that if you no longer wish to see the things around you that are causing your heart to hurt, that are keeping you awake at night, then you need to stop thinking about them, speaking about them, reading about them, playing them. You have to stop the momentum of the energy. The laws of the universe dictate that that energy will expand. As our friend likes to say to you and her clients, whatever it is that you do, the universe will say, "You are right. Here is more." And so, if you don't want the universe to say, "You are right, here is more," to the things that you no longer wish to see, start thinking, speaking, talking, reading, looking about the things you do wish to see. And so, I wanted to take a pause for a second and just come to you more from a conscious space. They kept talking about the different tools and process that we have to tip the scale, to change the trajectory of our thoughts and where we're going, how it's expanding in a way that is not serving us, and what can we do to make it better. And they talked to me about the music. They talked to me about the songs. Music and affirmation songs will reprogram in the best way because they fill the empty space with the things that you want. And find a frequency and a vibration that fits for you, right? And I understand, even for myself, it ebbs and it flows, my energy. And it's interesting because I do find that it's harder for me to listen to the high vibrational positive music when I'm feeling low. I literally can feel the shift that is being called to happen. And if you're not ready to shift, it's going to be hard. But open your toolbox and start using those tools to change the trajectory. Okay. So, whatever it is for you, it doesn't matter whether it's meditation or just playing with your dog or doing something that shifts your mind for the better. Change the trajectory. Pretend that you have this scale of balance that is laid in front of you, and notice how much in your day you have spent thinking about the things that you wish to not see in this world versus the things you wish. How much of your day you spend in joy and gratitude and admiration and happiness about where you are and what is happening around you, and how much have you spent in despair and, upset and anger and frustration. And understand that the universe does not understand anything except the feelings that you feel, the vibration that you emanate. It manifests from that. It does say, "What is it? Oh, okay. You're right. Here's more." If we want to change, we have to listen. I'm going to give the stage again to this collective that has come through to see if there's more that they would like to share with you guys and all of us. I love the teachings that are coming. And like you can see, it's easier for me to just communicate as they speak versus trying to change the tense, right? Of how they're talking. They're speaking to me in third party. It's hard to flip it. I tried to flip it and it pulled me completely out. And I needed to just get back into the zone, into maintaining that alpha and theta state, right? When I consciously tried to rearrange the language that was coming through me, I brought myself into beta. Beta is consciousness. It pulls the process out. It freaks my radio dial. I can't hear them as well. It was really funny. The other day I was driving and I was telling my guidance that I couldn't hear them and I need to hear them louder. And, like basically, like they need to be louder. And they showed me my dials on my radio and they said, "Lady, volume is not the issue. It's over here, your tuner that's off." You're a few stations off. You just got to tune up a little and then you'll hear us just fine. And so it really is that volume is not the issue. It's being able to be in that space and in that zone. And so I'm going to let them have the stage again and just see if there's anything else they would like to leave us with for the end of the episode. Thank you so much to our friend for letting us have the stage again. And again, thank you for giving us the space to speak to the collective right now. I hope you heard us when we offer those words of wisdom because we truly want to see you recover. We want to see you feel better. We want to see you implement the changes into this world that you want to see and experience. And we know that you have the ability to continue to evolve and ascend. The way that your mind works is really truly only tapped in its earliest stages, yet many of you are tapping more and more, just like our dear friend right now, teaching you how to open up and tune the radio dial. We are literally broadening your antenna. Your ability to receive is broadening. The collective is understanding this type of language now. The language that was foreign to others is now common to many. And we want you to recognize the shift that is happening that you are part of. Part of that shift and the awareness of how the laws of the universe work will unlock abilities within you. Your what you call manifestation abilities, your ability to call into physical reality the things that you want by magic is going to continue. You are going to continue to suppress your abilities from before. You see it in your sports, you see it all around. People succeed and go beyond their physical limitations. They go beyond the physical years of which they've lived. They go beyond the illnesses that used to kill them. You need to understand that you are in the space of the gateway of a new age and dimension, one that is going to be so beyond exciting to continue to tap into, and one that isn't just going to happen as if you're walking through a door. That is a point that we want to make clear. So many has this misconception that now that the year of the horse started, or now that the new year of the 26th started, or now that the equinox is coming, or now, these new phases are going to start. But what you need to understand is a new phase, a new moment, a new door happens every single thought. Every single thought you think, you walk through a door. Every single thought. And eventually, yes, we see the collective walking through enough of the same doors that you will tap into a next level. But understand that the door doesn't just happen in a date, the door happens with your thoughts. And so that's the piece we would like to leave you with. Choose which door you would like to unlock with your thoughts. Each and every thought, the more mindful you can become of, the easier it would be to step through the doors of your destiny and see what you want to see for humanity happen. We know what's in your hearts. That's why we're talking to you. That's why you were drawn to this episode, to this moment, sending you so many blessings. Thank you for all that you do for the human race, each and every one of you. Thank you for being a light. We see you and appreciate you. So much love your way. You guys, that was epic. I've never done this. I've never live channeled on my own without the assistance of a therapist or hypnotherapist, moving, supporting, kind of navigating through those pieces consciously as well as subconsciously, and just allowing communication to come through. I know that it just felt like I was speaking because truly I was, but I was allowing the knowledge and the information to just flow. I wasn't applying conscious thoughts, I wasn't dissecting it. I paused to give you the tools, to give you the pieces that needed more of my conscious process. And the pieces that came from Orion's counsel just came directly. It just came through to you. I just allowed them to speak to whatever level they felt like they needed to. And the messages were really powerful. I really did not plan for that. That was not a thought. I've actually asked my robot assistant to prepare some questions, and I felt immediately like, no, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm just supposed to ask them to speak. And that's what came through, and I think it was just so amazing. I hope that this episode gave you clarity around what channeling is, how it comes through your own ability in connecting, how it relates to what we call hypnotherapy and hypnosis, how it ties into those levels of our consciousness. And I really feel like the message was so powerful. So I hope that that also landed in perfect divine timing. It was so profound and so beautiful. And it did kind of already extended and grew what I pulled for the collective on my Patreon, which was a piece from the Vortex book. And yeah, I loved today's episode. So I really hope you loved it as well. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you so much for inviting me into your lives. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Healing with Hila. If you'd like to explore more, join our amazing community on Patreon for my Midnight Thoughts exclusive podcast and so much more. Thank you so much for inviting me into your life. So much love your way.